The RDL is often the next step for the hip hinge progression before moving into the conventional deadlift, but that does not necessarily make it a better exercise for the hamstrings. So why would you do it? Well, it allows you to get to the exercises that truly matter and do those exercises well. To do it, you're going to typically start from the racked position, not the floor, and this helps you start from a much healthier back posture, as it's often much better to stand, or we stand better than we bend over. And just like any hip hinge, you're going to initiate the movement by pushing your hips back, not necessarily up and down. So it's not a squat, it's front to back. And then you're going to stop when your back begins to round, where you feel like the back unlocks, which is often very short of the floor and often when the bar is almost about at knee or even mid-thigh for a beginner. Now this is the biggest difference with the RDL. It's a conventional deadlift without the bar ever touching the ground. You're going to start with your feet shoulder-width apart, with your chest up, and you're going to unlock those knees to get tension off of those hamstrings, as stiff knees would just restrict your range of motion. You're going to pull your lats down like you're trying to put your shoulder blades into your back pockets, and then the bar's going to stay just out in front of the legs almost all the way through, or even possibly even touching the legs all the way through. One thing of note is the type of bar doesn't matter, straight bar or hex bar. Clearly I'm using a straight bar here though. Because the RDL is typically done with lighter weight and because depth is not the goal here, it's a really good posture developer that builds your low back and further works that hip hinge. And you're probably thinking, why do I care about the hip hinge? And that's a valid question with a simple answer. It protects your low back. Plus, the RDL can have solid transfer to building grip strength if you use an overhead grip, as I'm demonstrating here. This means it transfers really well to the big deadlifts and barbell rows that work wonders. Additionally, by not lifting the weight from a dead stop on the floor and with each rep starting from the top, you incorporate a stretch reflex that helps when you're going for higher volume and higher reps. So some common mistakes. First, remember that the key to a good deadlift is all in the hips and back. So, biggest mistake is squatting instead of hinging at those hips. Make sure you can properly do a loaded hip hinge pattern. If you feel weight constantly on your toes, then you should work on that hinge. Mistake number 2 is going too far when your flexibility is lacking and your back begins to round. Again, if you see or feel your back unlocking, then work on that glute and hamstring range of motion, and even perhaps work on some back stability with some Palofs or some planks.